Hello everyone and welcome. I have another story for us today, and then I have a family activity that you can do with your children to go along with this story. So this is one of my favorite Bible stories from my childhood and my adult years as well. We're living in a storm in the world right now with the COVID-19 pandemic. And this story reminds me, and I hope it will remind you, that we have a God who calms the storm and calms his children during the storm. So I'm going to read this story first, and then I have some thoughts to share with you. This is called Jesus and the Storm. Jesus stood in a boat, a fishing boat with oars and a sail, and talked to the many people who had come to hear him. All day long, Jesus told them stories. When it was evening, Jesus said to his helpers, "Let us cross over to the other side of the lake and rest." Jesus' helpers untied the boat. They pushed it from the shore and raised the sail. One man sat in the back of the boat to guide it with the steering tiller. The boat moved slowly at first and then faster across the quiet blue water. A round yellow moon came up over the lake. The stars twinkled high overhead. Jesus was very tired. He lay down with his head on a pillow and was soon sound asleep. The man at the back steered carefully. The boat sailed on and on and on. Suddenly, a fierce wind began to blow. It blew black clouds over the moon. It blew black clouds over the stars. It whipped the water into huge, angry waves. The waves tossed the boat this way and that way, and up and down. There was lightning. There was thunder. The man at the tiller tried to steer the boat, but he couldn't. Other men tried to row the boat with oars, but they couldn't. Water filled the boat. It began to sink. The men were afraid. They woke Jesus. "Lord, save us! We perish!" they cried. Jesus heard their cry for help. He felt the angry wind. He saw the lightning flashing. He heard the noisy thunder. But he was not afraid. He stood up and said to the wind and waves, "Peace, be still." The wind stopped blowing. The waves were still. The clouds went away, and the stars twinkled again. The boat sailed on the sparkling path that the moon made on the water and crossed to the other side of the lake. "Why were you afraid?" Jesus asked his helpers. "Why were you afraid when I was with you?" Jesus says to boys and girls today, don't be afraid when the lightning flashes and the thunder crashes and the strong winds blow. I am with you always, says Jesus, in the dark and in the storm. I will never leave you. Don't be afraid. I love this story because it reminds me that I have a God who loves me enough to calm the storms that we face in life, or to calm us as his children as we live through these storms. This story is found in 3 different places in the Bible, and I'm going to give you those places, and I'd like to challenge you as families today to find your Bibles and read this story from the Bible in these places. You'll find it in Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 to 27. You'll find it in Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 41. And you'll find it again in Luke chapter 8, verses 22 to 25. So this story is in 3 different places in the Bible, and I think it's a great story to read together as families and talk about how Jesus will calm the storms of our life and how he can calm us through those storms. And I'd like to share one other little activity with you. These are easy to make at home. I've made literally thousands of these over the last few years. I call these calm down bottles, and I use them with my students. It is just a water bottle that's been recycled, filled with clean water. There's a little bit of food coloring in there, and then there is glitter glue, sequins, anything that's water soluble that you can put in there. But you can see when my students are feeling very upset, angry, frustrated, hurt, sad, a very variety of emotions can cause storms in our lives. I will often have them take one of these calm down bottles and just shake it up, and then find a nice, quiet, comfortable place and watch the storm and think about this story. Think about the verse in Matthew 28:20. Jesus has promised, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. And Jesus can calm the storm, literally, that we are facing, and he can also calm us as the storm passes. It usually takes about 20 minutes for one of these bottles to go completely back to completely calm, and in that time, usually you are calm if you've watched it that long, especially if you use glitter glue. But I have a variety of these, and you can make these at home as well. These are great little activities. If you super glue the lid at the top after you've filled it with all the goodies and tighten it and let it dry, I've never had one of them burst open, and I've made literally thousands of them. So today I'd like us to remember that Jesus will calm the storm, or he will calm us as he gets us safely through it. If you would like prayer for any storms that you are facing, I have a Facebook page that I use for Piqua Seventh-day Adventist Christian School, where I teach. And if you would like to send prayer request to that email address, we'd be happy to pray for you. Our address is piquasda@gmail.com. That's all lowercase letters, and it's spelled piquasda@gmail.com. Again, that is piquasda@gmail.com. We'd be happy to pray for you. piquasda@gmail.com. May Jesus keep you calm today.